I am the grandmother of Lily and Jack. I am the grandmother on the biological father's side. My son is Cody Sullivan. He's not in jail. He's never been out west. He does not have a criminal record. And right now he's living with me. He has been for 9 months. I asked Malehya, I said, you know your kids. Nobody knows their kids like their mom. Where do your kids normally go to play out in the yard? What direction do they usually like to explore? And she said, well, they always play up in the little woods right on the side. I said, well, okay. We had spoken to a search and rescue, and we weren't allowed on the other side because that's where they were searching at the time. So we just started combing through the woods up through there. We were gone for a couple of hours. I'm yelling for Lily and Jack. We always call Jack Jackie Boy. And yeah, that went on for a few hours, but those woods, I started to feel that I can't see them being in the woods.
That was Belinda Gray, the paternal grandmother. She since shared her heartbreak in an interview with CBC News, according to the article, revealing secrets of her fraught relationship with the children's mother. And this area of relational dynamics, family dynamics, an area that is often very secret, very private, is, I think, a key to understanding what happened to those missing children.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Were you ever formally questioned?
Yes.
So then it's about a month after Lily and Jack are last seen that they come and formally question you.
So it's about 3 weeks. They question Cody for an hour and a half in the vehicle, and then they question me for 2 hours in the vehicle.
They were actually informally questioned earlier, actually as early as May 3rd, the day after the kids went missing. And then there was just a very quick visit from the authorities who stood in their kitchen and were just there to make sure that the kids weren't there. It is also interesting to note that in the official questioning, it goes on twice as long with the grandma compared to Cody, and it might just be because she does seem to be quite forthcoming. I mean, this interview alone is almost 9 minutes, probably the longest interview by far from any of the family members. Now, there's always been something missing in the story of these children, 4-year-old Jack and 6-year-old Lily Sullivan, missing for almost 2 months now. We're actually at the 6-week mark in the rural Canadian backwoods near Nova Scotia. Strangely, if you think about it, they disappeared on May 2nd. That's one day before the Madeleine McCann anniversary. She disappeared on May 3rd, 18 years ago. But what do you think of the grandmother saying this?
Started to feel that I can't see them being in the woods. There's trees everywhere. You literally have to climb over trees, climb under bushes. It is really, really thick.
Well, if they aren't in the woods, where are they? Now, there are actually quite a lot of possibilities. There are mine shafts, there are water courses, culverts, and so on. But who do you think this grandma thinks could be culpable? Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. By the way, if you're new to the channel and you haven't yet watched the Netflix documentary, please go and have a gander at that. I'm also covering that on this channel. Many people who've viewed that found that certainly the documentary on Netflix on the Titan submersible very, very interesting. I certainly did. Pretty sure it's going to win an award. I'm also continuing analysis on this channel, so look out for that. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please hit the thanks button and let's get started. So on this question, who does this grandma suspect? It's not overt, it's not made explicitly clear, but it's interesting that she says, I'm not sure if they're in the woods, and then she makes this comment.
We come back out and I went in to see Malehya again. I assumed she was in shock. She was very, very non-emotional, very just flat, monotone. But Malehya's very soft-spoken anyway. That she's not usually excitable. I thought that's made her a really great mom. She was an excellent mom.
So do you notice how she sort of walks back? Belinda Gray sort of seems to make a slur, cast a bit of shade over Malehya, and then she sort of walks it back and says she was a really great mum because she was unemotional. Now, the missing link appears to be the biological father of these children. Do you agree? Well, he's still AWOL. We don't see him on camera. But at least we know who he is now, thanks to Cody Sullivan's mother, Belinda Gray, the paternal grandmother, breaking her silence.
How did you find out that Lily and Jack were missing?
The mum of my grandson called me. We were in town. She asked if I heard the news.
Shame, and I mean, that is a reminder that we are dealing with a real tragedy here. And it's also interesting that you see tears from this grandmother. You see what looks like real grief. But there doesn't really seem to be that much with the parents at the center of it.
I was in a state of panic, shock. But in the back of my mind, I kept saying, well, they'll find them. I mean, I'm assuming that they'd find them. So I told her, well, we'll head out first thing in the morning and help with the search.
According to the Daily Mail, Gray's son, Cody Sullivan, is the biological father of 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack. Gray explained that Cody and the children's mother, Malehya Brooks Murray, had been in a relationship for about 3 years before the children's mother decided to end it, citing relationship problems. And I do think we need to highlight that the children's mother decided to end it. Cody wasn't very happy about that. It would be interesting to know what exactly those relationship problems are. The grandmother doesn't seem to go into them. If you think about it, hasn't she tried to end the relationship with a new stepdad now as well, Daniel Martel, who is also the new father to another child? Incidentally, Daniel has just given an interview himself saying he passed a polygraph, and he said, in terms of that, I didn't kill Lily and Jack.
I know the truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack.
He does close his eyes and sort of shake his head when he says that. Now, we'll deal more with his interview in a separate episode. Meanwhile, the grandma claims they were already in little to no contact and they were unable to see them, their grandchildren, for 2 years after her son and ex-daughter-in-law broke up. It's quite severe. It's quite an extreme situation. Now she fears she will never see 6-year-old Lily or 4-year-old Jack again. Well, I fear she might be right. My heart tells me these babies are gone, she told CBC. I just want them back. These are everybody's grandchildren. They're not just mine now. It seems like the whole world cares. Well, it is interesting that the biological grandma is speaking out on camera. Meanwhile, the grandma who is actually living on the property, Malehya Brooks Murray's mother, Cindy Murray, only deigned to give a telephone interview, very discreet, 4 days later to the Canadian press. She's not going on camera. She's not campaigning. Why not? What does she know? That interview also lacked real substance, detail. It was just, we're hoping and praying, and the police have told us not to speak to the media. And she's not the only one. While the investigation continues, one article noted the children's mother stopped speaking publicly, citing police advice not to engage with the media. Now, following Brooks Murray's estrangement from the children's biological father, she sought sole custody of the children. So it's very interesting to note that these children have disappeared in the middle of a custody battle. It's not the first time this has happened. Her decision prompted Cody to withdraw from the situation entirely, Gray said. When she did that, in other words, gain sole custody, he said that he was done. He just didn't want any part of it. According to the article, despite the strained relationship between the parents, the devoted grandmother maintained a strong bond with the mother, Brooks Murray, at first. She said the children would often visit her whenever she asked. That's good, right? But then that changed when Brooks Murray moved in with this guy, Daniel Martel, her new boyfriend, and now they've shared a young daughter together.
How did you deal with that?
Really, to be honest, maybe I didn't deal good enough with it. I looked at the fact that when her and my son separated, my son walked away. He chose to walk away, that she wanted sole custody of the kids. So she petitioned the courts for sole custody, and when she did that, he said he was done.
Was he really done, and does he have an alibi? It is interesting that there are two unemployed males, it looks like. I'm not actually sure if Cody is, but we do know he lives with his mother. But it does seem to be two relatively downbeat males in the story. Does that factor into the dynamics at all?
So when was the last time you saw the children?
A year and a half, almost, really, it's about a year and 9 months.
So what do you think? Is this about downbeat dads, downbeat moms, or just children wandering off? Or is there an abductor? This severing of contact with a biological relative effectively isolated the children with their new stepfather. I mean, they were isolated socially even more than they already were. According to the article, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police have conducted thorough searches of the home, the surrounding grounds, outbuildings, septic systems, wells, mine shafts, and culverts, according to the police. Think about that. That's wells, woods, and mine shafts. That part of rural Canada clearly isn't an easy area to search. As far as I know, there have even been dog searches. This suggests if the children are hidden, someone who knows what they're doing in terms of moving earth must have hidden them very well. According to the article, Gray and her son Cody have both been questioned by police as part of a broad investigation that has formally interviewed 54 people, some of whom were subjected to polygraph tests. So if there was foul play, who is the guilty party here? Is someone covering up for someone else? Martel, the children's stepfather, also went a polygraph test and spoke to CBC News about the ordeal. It's hard not to see the massive milestone of Daniel bringing a newborn into the world, plus the secondary millstone of losing his job, well, it appears that way fairly recently, as factoring into these circumstances in a big way. How exactly remains to be seen, and that he is subject to some suspicion is the reason authorities polygraphed him, isn't it? But did he really pass? We'll deal with that in the next episode. I'm not going to take it further than that, except to note that a reward of up to $150,000, that's Canadian dollars, is being offered by the Nova Scotia Department of Justice to anyone with information about the disappearance of Lily and Jack. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.